You're listening to Cornerstone Kids, a parenting podcast, a series about practical ways you can become the primary disciple maker of your home. Hey guys, I am Pastor Jessica.
And I'm Pastor John Michael.
And we are some of the children's pastors here at Cornerstone, Nashville. And today we're talking about homework woes.
Everybody loves talking about homework.
I hate homework. What subject were you good at in school?
I'm a big fan, so I'm a terrible reader.
Oh, no.
I know that wasn't, which is kind of tough for my job now, which is a lot of reading.
Right.
I liked math. I'm a big math guy.
Oh, man.
Numbers speak to me.
Yeah.
So prior to being called to ministry, accounting was maybe a desire.
That's terrible.
But yeah, math and science. I love
I like
science and history.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
It doesn't change.
That's great.
You just memorize some dates
Or
and hopefully the key people and like you're good to go.
You're good. I love
yeah.
that. I love history. I loved econ when I was in high school as
Okay.
well. So economics, social economics, just different stuff like that was
Yeah.
really cool. My son does really well at math. He does really well, but I have a hard time when he has to do it. I'm like, wait, let me read this like 15 times
Yeah.
and then figure out what
Yeah.
it's saying and all of that stuff. But yeah, so homework, we recently, really just today, we're on the tail end of it where my son was sick. And so he missed a bunch of school and we had homework for days that we just brought home. And so we were, working on it, still working on it. He's
Yeah.
actually over in the corner. You're
Just
working on it
right now.
But I am not like the at-home mom. I'm not the homeschool mom. And so for me, it's a little harder to, sit down and to, wrap my brain around it, especially after I've been at work all day long or doing something else or my brain's been somewhere else, going, hey, let's focus on this for a bit and really helping him with that. So props to the teachers and the stay-at-home moms.
Sure.
Because you're amazing.
Yeah.
But it is a lot. And so, anyway, I was just jotting down some things that, kind of help with homework or maybe when you were younger, things that helped you with homework.
Yeah.
When you were at home, but were both your parents working or was mom at home?
So mom was stay at home.
Yeah.
Dad worked. But yeah, a lot of the advice or tips I'll give will be from myself growing up and maybe what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
My kids are 3 and about to be 1.
Yeah.
So my wife, I think we're going to go the homeschooling route.
Yeah.
So maybe in a couple years I can throw some other bits and pieces out there, or maybe she can come on because I won't be doing the homeschooling. I would be terrible. But yeah, so we're going to dive into the homeschool world. And but I think there are a lot of good plans you can put in place. I mean, habits that you can create. And honestly, the things that you help your child prioritize will help them as they get older because eventually, college route, adult route, I mean, getting rid of things like procrastination are key now. Work before play is always an important principle to live by.
I find myself saying a lot, just if we get it done now, you'll have like all the time afterwards to get it done instead of like stopping and starting and stopping and starting, doing your homework. It's just really stressful when you have to do that. But there is something too, I had written this down when you come home and you create that routine and you say, okay, everybody's doing this, this, and this. Our kids are around the same age. I do have 2 older ones in elementary school now. And so we are just in the beginning stages of really kind of homework. Yeah. Bringing home, like, what does that look like for our family? And, when we're getting off work and we're coming straight home, the kids have played a little bit after school by the time we pick them up. So they have had a little bit of a break, a mental break, free time. But when we get home, it's like, okay, I'm going to start making dinner. That's my homework. I've already been thinking about what I'm making for dinner. Yeah. So mom's homework is going. And we just say, hey, as soon as we get home, just sit down, go ahead and do this, your work, and pull it out and let them work on it. And if you make that a routine, a regular time when you come home, it just becomes, just like when we walk through the door, it's like, okay, shoes off, lunch boxes on the counter. They're just now getting that. And I think we've done this for like 3 years now. Sure.
And
but
it's clicking now.
They're starting to click. But I think when you do that, it'll help create that routine of them going, okay, I have homework today. Let's sit down and get this done. But a few tips from other parents that were really great were homework friendly environments.
Okay.
So somewhere that a kid can do their homework that is not their room, that is not like in the playroom, but is away from. And at our house, that's my husband's like desk area. Mm-hmm. And so there's really nothing there that the kids want to play with. There's like stacks of books, maybe a comic, but mostly it's like bills or stacks of books and a calendar. And so they sit there and do their work, but no distractions. Mm-hmm. Was a huge one. So even if like my other littles are in the room, taking them out of the room, putting them in a different room, not having a TV on in the room or even music in the background. For me, when I studied, I loved to have music on or something in the background. But for a lot of children nowadays, it's so distracting that you put something on and they will just stand up and start singing, and you're like, pause. We need to talk about Abraham Lincoln for 5 minutes. Okay. We're not going to do this. But I think those were some really good tips that they said to us. But then taking intentional breaks. So we don't have tons of homework at night, but when we do, taking intentional breaks and literally being that commercial mom that's like, here, have some, snack, and then we'll go back to doing it.
It helps.
Those are really good for, you like snacks,
yeah.
So why not take a break and have a snack?
Even at work, sometimes I do a walk around break. If I've been typing away or looking at a computer screen for a long time, I think a lot of adults do this in corporate America. It's like it encouraged to take a little 5 to 10 minute break, stretch your legs, walk around, change your environment for a moment, and then hop back to it. It's just good to kind of turn it off for a second.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And, we're not the end all be all on all of these things. Like I said, I got some things from other parents. I looked up some information to just kind of, help me wrap my brain around what works best for my child, what works best for a 9-year-old. Your child may be 13 or 15. Your kid may be just doing kindergarten and their coloring sheet is their homework if they have one. But even before they have homework, starting those routines really helps. Like before you do those homeschool things, starting it like hey, we have a schedule. We get up, we do this, we, sensory play or whatever that looks like. And don't ever be afraid to or think that you're not being a good parent. If you Google a question, or if you're like, Alexa, how does this work? There were some things on his homework and he was explaining it to me and I was like, are you sure? I don't know if that's what that is. And this is a 3rd grader's homework, but I was like, I'm going to look it up because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. So don't be afraid or don't think that you're a terrible parent because you have to do a little research or ask a question. That means you're a good parent. Yeah. When you're reaching out to other people around you to do that. So anyway, that's
we're not going to know everything. What's that show? Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?
I'd probably lose.
A lot of adults have been humbled to realize how much that classic school information can be lost over a couple decades. My wife is kind of tiptoeing in the homeschooling arena. When Barnes & Noble was going out of business in Hendersonville, we bought a bunch of preschool books, Montessori-esque stuff. Right. So she started working with our daughter on that. But kind of looking back, thinking about my I would say early elementary school experience. So my parents would do a lot of what you said. Yeah. So I was a bus kid. So right after getting off the bus, my parents would encourage all right, let's knock out the homework now. Yeah. We would sit at the kitchen table. So not a fun spot. The TV would not be on. There's no distractions. It's the kitchen. Yeah. Mom may be working on dinner, but we would sit there. We would do our homework. And it was always a work before play mentality. Right. So once you get that done, you're free to go. Now, obviously, there were times where my brother and I would move past that, right. Or we would undersell how much homework we really had. Oh, it's 5 minutes. It's I only have 2 math problems, and it's a whole book report. But my parents saw the rule work before play. Yeah. The weekend was always really tough. I know there's a couple schools that thought it's Friday. everybody's ready for a break. Friday nights are fun, good family moments.
Yeah.
So it's like, do we really want to spend time doing homework? No. Again, as a parent, maybe assess how much there truly is. If it is like one page, you can do it Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But if it's like a good amount, maybe do bite-sized chunks. Hey, let's knock out 80% tonight. Yeah. And then when it's Sunday evening, we're not scrambling to get something done beforehand.
Yeah. Nothing like a last-minute project, and you don't have any of the supplies.
And those big school projects, I think it is good to, like, you know, if hopefully your school gives you forewarning, but like, hey, let's try to do it in quarters. Let's get 25% done now, and then in a few days, 25% more. I mean, I even do that with sermon writing. Yeah. I don't try to knock out an entire sermon in one day. I'm like, hey, let's take 3 days. Right. I'm going to work on this for.
Like, I have to preach tomorrow. Yeah. So what's my topic?
So a couple. Yeah. Well, when it's kids ministry, it might be a little less, but like I'm doing Wednesday night for the adults, so I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to take 3 days, a good chunk of my day to write it all out, and I'll be like, oh, this is trash, and then the next day come back and be like tweak it, and then day 3 is like final touches. Because sitting there all in one day for an adult, like your brain is just done. Yeah, and you need a bit. Yeah. And then the last thing, and this is kind of it's me and my brother. So just me and my brother. And just kind of one thing I saw with us growing up, and hopefully I can now apply this as my children get older, is like every kid is different and they learn differently and they excel at different topics. Yeah. So for myself, I was like memorizing information is very easy for me. I thrived at tests. Yeah. So I would maybe slack on homework because I knew I'd make it up in the test. Yeah. My brother is the opposite. He was a nervous test taker. Yeah. And he liked to work things out sometimes rather than just straight up memorize them. So we learned differently. Yeah. And I think for my parents, it's a little bit of shell shock when I'm the older brother, thrived at these topics, and then the second child is better at different topics and struggles in different areas because there's things that he's really good at that I'm bad at. Yeah. And so just understand every child's different and how one learns may not apply to the other child. And so we have 2 kids right now. And even though they're younger, I kind of have to say, like, you know what, my daughter may thrive in these topics. Yeah. My son may learn differently. And I have to be able to switch and be okay with that and teach differently and have patience, because it's very easy to get upset. Why aren't you getting this? And there's that meme of like your dad trying to teach you math at the kitchen table and the kid's like sweating or crying. Like, it's a meme. Like, we laugh, but it's true because there can be those moments. And so yes, we want to make sure we're helping our children thrive, but also take accountability as the parent. Be like, all right, we got to buckle down and we got to do a history study guide.
Ask God for patience.
I got to have some patience and have some peace. We're going to work through it. Yes, my one child may have killed it at this. Right. This one's struggling. So Lord, like, help me to help them because I want them to succeed and do well also. And so
the other day I was dropping the kids off at school, and I literally said to one of the teachers when I walked in, I was like, those times when you pray for patience and you're like, Lord, just give me patience. And He doesn't just give you patience, He gives you opportunities. You get opportunities to be patient. And I just looked at her and I was like, I failed at all of those opportunities today. I did not have patience. I was like, let's get out of the door. And then when I was in the van, my daughter looked at me and she was like, are you still upset? Or are you okay? And I was like, great. That's been a great morning. But it's just now like, no, I'm not still upset. I was like, forgive me for being frustrated. I was like, but I need your help in the mornings, and just kind of having that transparent moment. But, pray for patience, and you will get opportunities to be patient. And it's up to you to whether you succeed or fail, but you get to try again, which is always the best thing. So, well, thank you so much for listening today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new about yourself or about your kids and God's plan in our parenting. If you liked this episode and want to keep up with new episodes, please hit the share and subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out our free parenting resources that can help create peace, routines, and relationships in your home. Just visit cornerstonenashville.org/parent resources. We'll see you next time.